Question is, if my teen comes to me with concerns for their mental health of one of their friends, what is the best course of action?
uh, an unfortunate situation we find ourselves in pretty often, that it's not our kid, and it's oftentimes about, I think the first thing you should do is discern, is it one of those old, when you called into the show and said, hey, I got a friend, and you're really talking about yourself. So I think the first thing you better discern is it your kid, or is it actually one of their friends? Then I'm sure there's going to be a better professional answer, but in the little space we deal in, I would ask the kid what they think. Your kid's not stupid, and they know their friend, if it's truly their friend, and ask them, because they might have an idea and just need your help to get them connected up with someone. I think parents have a gut reaction to call the parent. Well, you don't know what that relationship is. I will tell you that we had a 7-day stretch where 4 kids went to their parents about their own mental health, asked to go see a counselor, and they were 0 for 4 on parents allowing their kid to go see a counselor. 0 for 4. Because they don't need to, right? You got me. You don't need to go see somebody, you got me. So oftentimes the reason that kid is reaching out to their friend is maybe mom and dad aren't supportive about mental health. And they might not be bad parents, they just don't get it or can't believe that their kid needs the help. So I would talk to your kid and find out what they want to do, what course of action they want to take. But then of course, get it to somebody at the school or a clinician or someone who can actually take those reins from you. Don't give it up. Don't just talk to your kid and go, well, that sounds like a great idea, Jesse. Why don't you run with that? I mean, go ahead and Mo. I'll call Mo out then too, Mo. So, work with them, stay on them. Make sure that they get to a professional, get to a school, get to a clinician. But I wouldn't necessarily call their parent immediately. You might want to circle back around and stay on it. I will say this, just since I have the microphone right now. I think it is critically important to say this. If we are at the eminent stage, like Jason Cotters has to deal with, where you have someone who is truly at risk, please don't be that parent that has scared your kid into missing curfew. If your kid has eyes on another kid that's in trouble, let them keep the eyes on. I think that is critically important. I don't care if it's drinking, it's drugs, driving, suicide. Your kids are the ones providing support for their peers initially. Then let's work to get them somewhere else. But if your kid calls you and says, I need to give another kid a ride home, stay on them. Ultimately get them to a professional. But good golly, don't truncate the service that your kid is to their own friends. Please, somebody else give a better answer.
Just to add a little bit to that, I would have said a lot of what you said, so I don't know that there's a lot more, but I would add the importance of those questions that we ask. And so there's a wonderful training, and Jill could give more information if somebody was interested in getting that information on. It's called QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer. And that training is really about how to ask the questions to know what kind of resources to connect that person with. And so it kind of helps you be more prepared to know, once again, as Jason said, is this something we need to act immediately on, or is this something that we want to have our kids continue to have eyes on this other, on his or her peer. And so that is a wonderful training, among others, but that's one that comes to mind for this specific question.
A good initial source can be the police department. If you feel that the child is threatened or is threatened themselves, by all means contact us. We can go out and check on them. Just because we go out doesn't mean that we have to take any action. We can direct them to services. We can determine that what you thought might be a threat was actually not, so it's unfounded. A lot of different things can happen. It's better to be safe. Call us and let us go out and check. And if everything's okay, great. If it's not, then we're there. We can get involved and get up to the appropriate services.
Sorry, I just want to add to, so both Jasons here, that you know, once again, going back to you don't have to have all the answers. And so as a mental health clinician, we do get calls from community members that will give us that information and say, well, what do I do? And so you can call an office and to an outpatient mental health office and talk to a professional to kind of also know what resources are available and how to direct that youth and that family too.
And I would just add to what everyone else has said, and just reach out and talk to someone, call someone, the counselors, the social workers, the administrators, or law enforcement, mental health providers, someone at Region 3 who has supports or resources available. But make sure you tell someone so we can start working with that child and that family to figure out if there is something we need to do to support them.
I just want to remind everybody too, the resources out there with the Suicide Lifeline, Voice Town Helpline, those are all connected to clinicians that are answering the phone, and they will then connect you to the resources in that person's community. So just so you guys know that that is a clinician on the other end. It's 24/7. We also have some other 24/7 access with Richard Young Hospital, with Mid-Plains Center in Grand Island, and South Central Behavioral Services here in Kearney and Hastings.
I would add one more option that we have as a police department. A lot of times if somebody doesn't reach the level that they need to be hospitalized immediately, we have access to a crisis response team. It's a team of counselors that are on call, I believe free of charge, the first response at least, and they will come out to the house or whatever location we're at, meet with the person, and see if they can start solving problems.
On the LAWS team, the active post-vention model after suicide is completed suicide, studies show that shortening the elapsed time between a death by suicide and finding help for families really do help them cope. It's part of the healing process for families. And our LAWS team members are trained in QPR, as well as when we do the call-outs, we have a team of 3 of 2 survivors and a licensed mental health clinician as well.